Have you lost your drive to do what it is that you once loved? Or are you feeling sort of lost or just kind of blah about your business, or just about different pieces of your life? Or do you find yourself wanting to burn your business down to the ground and never look back? If so, this episode is for you. Welcome to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where we're all about mixing tried and true strategies that actually work with the magic of manifestation and the science of programming your unconscious mind so that you walk away feeling integrated, inspired, and aligned. I'm Renee Bowen, certified life and business coach, professional photographer, middle-aged wife, and mom to now 3 grown kids. I've built 2 multiple 6-figure businesses with 0 business training by digging in, learning the methods, and now I'm here to pass them all on to you. From photography and business strategies to energy healing, human design, and the basics of manifestation, we cover it all here. I'm here to help you embrace your multi-passionate brains and lean into the fastest and most efficient ways to reach your goals, whatever they may be. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, or maybe you're just here for the woo-woo, let's dive in and explore all the exciting ways to take your life, business, and self-improvement to the next level. Thanks for joining me, and get ready to be inspired. If you're a creative, you probably also have a million ideas running through your head on the daily, have a hard time organizing them all into actionable steps, and are used to having this sort of nonstop inspiration just drop in. And you also may struggle with confidence, imposter syndrome, or self-sabotage. Hi, hello, you're not alone. Waving my hand in the air as well. I know a lot of you might find this surprising, but yeah, I'm not immune to any of this either. And sometimes we go through a season of it, which is where I currently find myself. So let's talk about why this happens. I'm going to outline 5 common reasons you might find yourself here, and then I'm going to dig into my coaching bag and pull out 5 tips on how you can actually work with this energy and move through it, because you will move through it. How you do that is entirely up to you, though. Okay, so let's go into some of the reasons why this might be happening. The first one on the list is burnout. That might seem like a no-brainer, but maybe you don't even realize you're in burnout or headed for it. So some of the things that lead to burnout are doing too many things that you don't love or that you just don't want to do, doing too many things in your business, comparing yourself to other people. It's super common for those of us who wear all the hats in our businesses, right? So if you are doing all the things, you're a one-woman show, you've got too many things on your plate. And I talk about this a lot. I talk about outsourcing and how that is really imperative to growing your business. But it also is imperative if you want to build a business that includes you actually still being around to actually enjoy it and run it. Because you can't do everything all at once. You can't. I'm sorry. If someone told you that you could, they lied. And we actually have been lied to. We have been sold this lie that if we just create this intense pressure and deadlines and hold ourselves to this super high standard, that's going to pay off and that we're going to have the business of our dreams. But also, what happens? Yeah, you might actually build a great business doing that. But then you are going to get to a place where you don't want to do it anymore. You feel completely and totally underwhelmed and overwhelmed at the same time. It's a really weird place to be in, but that's what happens when you build a business that doesn't fit with your lifestyle, that doesn't start with you thinking about clarity, that doesn't start with you having clarity on how you want the business to fit into your life. Because so many of us just go into it to build a business, and then the business becomes our life. And that's why you see people completely changing things up, taking sabbaticals, literally just going away I don't want that to happen to you. So that's a really common issue, is the whole burnout thing. Saying yes to things you don't want to do will also lead you to burnout. Over time, it's going to teach your unconscious mind that this is normal, and your unconscious mind learns from experience. So if you keep doing this, you keep putting yourself in situations where you're doing a lot of stuff or saying yes to a lot of things that you don't want to do anymore, your unconscious is going to think, oh, well, this is just what we do. And then it's going to think that it's safety and continue to pull you back to that safety place. But that's not true safety. True safety is building a life and a business that feels good. Okay. So we're going to talk about how to kind of work with that and come out of it in just a little bit. But the second one on the list is limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is really common, and it comes from the fear of being found out as a fraud. Happens when you are self-taught very often, but even with those people who have degrees and actually do have experience in doing something, they can still feel like an imposter inside of their business. To put it simply, imposter syndrome is the experience of feeling like a phony in some area of your life, usually business and what you do, despite any success that you have achieved in that area. Psychologists Susanna Imes and Pauline Rose Clance first used this term in the 1970s, and the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines it in part as persistent doubt concerning one's abilities or accomplishments, accompanied by the fear of being exposed as a fraud despite evidence of one's ongoing success. And interestingly enough, originally, the concept of imposter syndrome was thought to apply mostly to high-achieving women. Since then, it's been recognized as a more widely experienced phenomenon. Imposter syndrome can affect anybody, no matter their social status, work background, skill level, or degree of expertise, and it runs rampant among us creatives. It's estimated that 70% of people will experience at least one episode of this phenomenon at some point in their lives. In fact, I have an entire podcast on this inside of Calibrate, which is my private podcast that is all about reframing and mindset and hypnosis tracks and all of that. It's really, really a hot topic, let's just say. So imposter syndrome and also your limiting beliefs, those things that keep you stuck, okay? That's also a big factor in this feeling uninspired, and it leads you to distraction. So if you are one of those people who you sit down for the day, you know you've got a whole bunch of stuff to get through, and then you find yourself constantly looking at your phone or getting up to do laundry, or you keep finding distractions, right? Or they find you. That's because your unconscious mind is pulling you back to safety. It's pulling you back to, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. Let's find something else to do. And so, yeah, a lot of us do have neurodiversity and ADHD and things like that when we get distracted. But some of us really are finding ourselves distracted by life. And it's because we've got too many things going on. And it's because we are, listening to the limiting beliefs in our head. So number 3 on my list is having an unclear path or just a general uncertainty. All right. So as a whole, we as humans, we do crave certainty. Okay. So this could look like not knowing what kind of business you want to run, not having clarity on that, not knowing how much money you actually need to make, like not knowing your cost of doing business. You'd be surprised at how many people that I work with in coaching who are running businesses and don't actually know what their cost of doing business is. So that could be a really big factor. Not knowing who your target client is, not knowing who you're speaking to, not knowing your purpose, your why. Like, why are you even doing this in the first place? Not having clarity on any of that stuff can absolutely lead you to this place of, why am I doing it? I'm uninspired. I kind of don't know if I want to do this anymore. That's definitely a factor for sure. In fact, I would say that this right here is probably the number one reason why people do come to me for coaching, is because they lack clarity and they need that clarity if they are actually going to, build what they want to build. However, like I said before, a lot of us will end up building a business that takes over everything instead of building the business around the life that we want to live. So that's really, really important. And that's part of having a clarity coach. That's a part of understanding that you are seeking clarity, you are seeking certainty, which we can argue is not possible, right? The certainty part, because life is so uncertain. If anything has taught us over the past 3 years specifically, is that we don't have certainty. And there is a lot to be said for being uncomfortable in that space. However, what I'm talking about right now is one of the reasons why you might be feeling uninspired. And it probably has something to do with the fact that you don't have clarity on something. Okay, number 4 could be mental health or physical health reasons. Now, I'm going to say a disclaimer in that I am not a doctor and I am not a licensed medical or mental health professional. Okay. However, I do think that, because I see it again in my coaching a lot, especially with women, that a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with and a lot of the reasons why we're having this like general blah about our life could be traced back to either physical and or mental health issues. And sometimes those are connected. Hello, menopause. So if you're a woman and you have hormones, you could be dealing with some issues related to this. Okay. I've talked about this before. I went through menopause really early. I went through perimenopause really early. I was in perimenopause in my 30s after I had my twins. Literally having twins like completely screwed up my metabolic health, let's just say. And it kind of set me on this path of really intense anxiety for a long time. I didn't realize that anxiety was tied to my hormones and what I was going through with, perimenopause and then later menopause until later. And also my thyroid. All of that stuff was really mixed in. So if you are experiencing some of those symptoms of anxiety, or you're even having physical health things like frozen shoulder or joint pain and all of that stuff, that actually is tied to hormones as well. And a lot of women are not educated on this because we have doctors that sort of just gloss over the fact that, well, it's just a normal part of life, so deal with it, because we're women. And I am going to get on my soapbox for just a hot second, because if you're a man and you show up and you talk about these things, there are lots and lots of medications that they will just hand out like candy because they want to help you because you're a guy. Sorry, it's true. You can look it up. There's statistics on this. But women historically are told to get over it, just deal with it. Here's an antidepressant or some other thing that's going to be a Band-Aid for what's really happening with you, instead of, oh, you know what? Let's look into this and let's see what actually could be happening with you. I know this because it happened to me. I had a male gynecologist forever. And when I started going through perimenopause in my 30s, and then when I went through menopause, like full on not having a cycle anymore, I was like, oh, well, I'm obviously going to die because something's wrong. And he just was so nonchalant about the fact that, oh, well, it's just menopause. And, yeah, you're 42 and yeah, that's a little early, but it's probably, just the way your body is made. And, yeah, there's not a lot you can do about it. Never once offered me hormone replacement therapy, never once told me, we should really be checking your levels, none of that stuff. Just deal with it. Do you need something for depression? I can give you some Lexapro. Yeah. So I got rid of him, found a female gynecologist, and have been on hormone replacement ever since, which changed my life. So if you find yourself in that place, whether you're a woman, a man, however you identify, if you have hormones and you are having physical problems, you are having mental health issues, I want you to dig a little deeper because there could be a reason for it outside of just, I'm feeling a little depressed or I'm feeling a little uninspired. Like there could be an actual physical reason for it is what I'm trying to get at here. So I want you to go to your doctor. I want you to find somebody who is going to help you with this. There could be a lot of reasons why you're dealing with this, and you deserve to feel good. That's what I really want you to hear. You deserve to feel good and you deserve to be happy. Okay. And the number 5 reason why you might be feeling uninspired or feeling really about your work or your life right now is that you just don't want to do it anymore. Now, this is going to be a little controversial and you may not have expected me to say this, but it is possible that you've kind of just lost your passion for it. And that's okay. We're going to talk about that in a second when we start talking about some solutions and some ways through all of this. But it is very possible that you've done this for a long time and you just don't want to do it anymore. You feel like there's something else. And I'm really actually excited to talk about this one because it's not spoken about enough. Okay, digging into my Hermione's bag of coaching tools. Let's talk about some solutions. Let's go back to number 1, which was burnout. The first thing not to do is to do. Basically, the first thing that you really don't want to be doing is doing more. Okay. In fact, what I would like you to consider doing is doing less. And here's why I feel like that's really helpful for dealing with burnout and overwhelm. So first of all, if you're dealing with burnout, you are kind of at that place where you're done. Okay. So it's going to be very difficult to logic your way out of that and to think your way out of the anxiety that comes along with that. So I know that we are programmed to do more, right? We've been programmed to do. You've got to have this intense pressure, on your shoulders at all times so that you actually perform and achieve. And some of us have a lot of trauma around that as well. And the reason why we're overachievers is because we were either hypervigilant as kids, or we had parents or caregivers who held us to high standards, or it was valued in some way, right? So we tend to think that we can just keep going, keep doing things. But that's obviously not working if you're dealing with burnout. Now, maybe you're not in full burnout yet. Maybe you're just hearing whispers of it. It's important for you to listen to the whispers is what I really want you to hear. If you're finding yourself in a place of, I'm not really sure where I want to go with this business. I'm not really sure what it is I want to do. One of the things that you can do is to do less. Okay, so let's talk about what that would look like. I want you to think about what it felt like to be a kid. Just for a few minutes, let's think about the freedom of childhood. Now, a lot of us have different experiences in childhood, and some of you guys didn't have great ones. I'm not trying to gloss over that. But if you could bring yourself to just one moment of your childhood where you did experience freedom and feel what it felt like to live in that space of possibility, that's where I want you to go for a second. So wherever you have to go in your mind for that, go there. For me, I grew up in literally the middle of nowhere. My front yard was the Mississippi River and a levee and the river road. There was a road, the levee, and then the river is right behind it. My parents live out in the middle of the country in Louisiana. My backyard, just a whole bunch of cane fields. And I didn't grow up in a neighborhood or a cul-de-sac. I didn't have built-in friends, and I was an only child for 10 years. So there was a lot of alone time outside for me, which actually fits in very well now that I know my human design. I'm a 2-4, and that 2 is the hermit. So it really works well for me. I had animals. I was always with my dog or, somewhere out there exploring, looking for things. But for me, that sense of freedom and possibility, I can trace back to literally just laying in the grass, looking up at the clouds and thinking about, I can't wait to get out of here. And I know that sounds awful because I absolutely love my family. Like, you guys don't understand. I had a great childhood. My mom's amazing. My family's amazing. So it wasn't like I was trying to get away from people, but I had this internal sense that I wanted more out of my life, that I wanted to live in a city and I wanted to experience all the things that I had seen in the movies, right? That I had dreams of moving to a place like New York City or Los Angeles, where there was just a lot of energy all the time. And I think it was because it was completely opposite from where I grew up. Now, I ended up doing those things. I ended up moving to Los Angeles at 25 with literally no plan. And I didn't expect to stay here this long, but I met my husband in a bar not long after that. So the rest is history. But for me, that's what freedom felt like. It felt like possibility. Like, I wonder what could be. I wonder what could happen. I wonder what my life is going to look like. And I would allow myself to daydream about it. And I think that one of the main things that we don't do anymore as adults is we don't daydream. We don't allow ourselves to really be in a space of possibility anymore. And that is one of the best things we can do to combat burnout, or to be preemptive about burnout, is to allow ourselves to think about, what if I booked 20 more clients before the end of next month? What if I ended up working with 100 clients next year? What if I raised my prices by $1,000 and I ended up making an extra 50 grand next year? What if I took my family on an amazing vacation to Italy next summer? What if, insert whatever awesome thing you want right there. When you allow yourself to open up to what if, you will find some really cool inspiration. And the universe is going to provide for you as well. You are going to get what you ask for. Okay, I talk about this a lot. We are always emitting some kind of frequency. We're always emitting what I call our radio beacon, right? If you want to think about yourself as a big radio tower, again, not too far from my house, there's this big giant radio tower when I was growing up in the middle of the cane field, a tower used for some sort of communication, right? I'm not sure what it was for, but it was huge. So in my mind's eye, that's what I think about when I think about us emitting a frequency and a beacon. What are you putting out? If you're constantly putting out, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm burnt out, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm exhausted. If you're putting that out, then that's what you're getting right back, because that's just how it works. That's just how energetics work. So what are you putting out? If you're putting out something more along the lines of, again, you might not have clarity on what you want, but to get the clarity, you have to open up to possibility. So maybe instead reframe that into, okay, I'm not really sure what it is that I want, but I am open to some inspiration. I'm looking for possibility. I'm looking for inspiration, and I'm open to it. And I'd love for you to just drop that in. So even something as simple as that, if you can't actually get yourself to a place of, feeling like it's there in front of you, at least just opening up to, I wonder what it would look like if this happened. Allow yourself to daydream. And I want you to give yourself permission to go as big as possible with this. Don't be logical. Put your logic hat away right now. This is not a logical exercise. This is a freedom exercise. I want you to feel open. It should feel expansive. It should feel heart-centered. It should feel loving. It shouldn't feel pressure. It should feel like fun. So go ahead and set aside, if you've got to set a timer for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that you're going to allow yourself to just be in a place of possibility and fun and pleasure. Do that. Make that a habit. And I guarantee you that is going to shift you out of burnout. All right, number 2, let's address the imposter syndrome and limiting beliefs, how to work through that. So again, like I said, this is an unconscious programming, right? All of our limiting beliefs and all of the things that we have been programmed with, usually from childhood, are there, stuck in the back of our unconscious mind, hanging out, running the show. They're just running the show. You can think about it like your brain, your head has a movie theater, and the projector is just running that movie of what you have been sold, what you've been told, and what you ultimately now believe. Just kind of running on a loop. I want you to go in, walk up the stairs of that movie theater, hear the creak as you walk up the stairs. It's probably an old movie theater. Walk up the stairs, hear the creak, open the door, see the projector, look at the screen, look at what's on the screen. All of those limiting beliefs, all of those things that you've been told, all of those things that you just sucked into your unconscious mind as a child and believed. And I want you to walk up to that projector and I want you to turn it off. The lights go down. The movie is no longer on the screen. I want you to open the projector and see the film. Those of us photographers, this is a really nice visualization for you. Look at the film, take out a pair of scissors and start cutting that shit away. When you're cutting it, I want you to say to yourself, I remove all blocks and limiting beliefs so that the constant flow of abundance in money, ideas, and inspiration is always flowing to me and for me. The universe is always working in my favor. And then if you want to continue with this visualization, you can construct your own movie, right? Like back in the old days when they actually had to cut and tape the negatives together to create the film. Cut those pieces out. Look at the film strip. Is there a piece of your childhood where you can identify, yep, that's where that comes from? Cut that piece out, splice it together, and put it back together in a way that you want it to be constructed, how you want it to look. Build your own movie. Then reload that film, click that projector back on, sit back and watch the film. Okay, number 3, the uncertainty, not having certainty or clarity. Okay, that issue of not knowing what you truly want. Again, I believe that we have to be open to inspiration. So, step 1 is to allow yourself to be in a place of possibility. But let's talk about, how to work through this issue of not having clarity. Where do you even start with that, right? I believe you need to get clear on your purpose and your why. That is typically at the heart of why we aren't seeing results in our lives. We don't know what we want anymore. And the fix is knowing this and also knowing who your target client is. Now, this is with respect to your business, because I mentioned target client, but I also want you to realize that your purpose, okay, so 2 different things, your purpose and your why and your target client, 2 different things. Your purpose and your why is not related to what you do. You express it through what you do. And that's how you express your purpose. But not having clarity on what you stand for, what you're about, and what you want to be remembered for, that can be a huge reason why you don't feel like you want to do this anymore. Because you're not aligned with your true purpose. And let me tell you a little secret. You have been living your purpose. It is there. Okay. It's not like it's going to just magically appear out of thin air. You've been living it in some way. You just haven't taken out your highlighter and highlighted it. You haven't shined a spotlight on it yet. And that is what I believe is step 1 in any kind of coaching program. That's why anytime anybody comes to work with me, we're going to start there. I don't care if you've been in business for 20 years. We are going to talk about your purpose and your why, because I teach it in a very specific way. And it's not related to your business. A lot of, especially photography coaches or mentors out there, will have you, go into this through that lens of my purpose in photography is, or the reason I want to work with seniors is, or the reason I want to be a wedding photographer, or the reason I am a wedding photographer, whatever it is because of this. No, We don't even talk about the photography or your business when we're dealing with your purpose and your why. This is about who you are and what you stand for, what you believe in. What is that? A lot of us don't have clarity on that anymore because we are really oversaturated by content. We have never, ever lived in a time like this. Okay, this is the first time in history that we have this much information thrown at us on a daily basis. And we are very distracted for whatever reasons. Usually it's because, we're trying to numb out. But we are very distracted. We are oversaturated with information. And so it's really easy for us to try on a lot of different ideas and things that really don't align with us because we see someone else doing it. Hey, it's working for them. Maybe that's what I should do. So-and-so is running their business this way, or, I want to make more money than that person. We get in this like comparison game. It's really, really easy to do that on social media right now. And so it's very, very important for you to go back to you. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? If you aren't clear on that, how in the world can you expect any of your clients to vibe with you? Because you're not saying it. You're not living it. It's not oozing out of you. When you are like oozing your purpose, people can pick up on that, right? They pick up on it and they want to be a part of it if they're your target clients. If they're not, they're going to be repelled, and that is good. So knowing your purpose comes first. You can't even think about your target client work until you know what your purpose and your why is. That is imperative. I'm going to give you an example of what a why statement really can look like. My why statement is to create new and innovative ideas that are challenging so that it questions the status quo and empowers others to carve their own path. So the impact is that I want to inspire people everywhere to challenge the status quo. I'm a big believer in nonconformity. Okay. My whole life, that's really what I've been about. Standing out, being different for whatever reason. Of course, there's some psychological reasons behind that. And then my contribution is what I do to make the impact that I desire is to create these new and innovative ideas, right? Because I thrive on the new and the different. So this is like across the board in everything that I do in my life, as a parent, as a partner, as a coach, as a photographer. I want to be living that. And I have been living that. But it wasn't until I did the work to uncover what that was really about that it just clicked. Like everything just made so much more sense and I got clarity. So just as a side note, this is one of the things I'm going back to right now myself, right? Because I do find myself in this season of going, I feel like there's something else. I feel like there's something else that I want to be doing. Like, it's not like I want to quit what I'm doing right now, but I'm definitely a little uncertain about how I want that to look for the next, like, however many years. I'm going to be 53 in a month. Maybe it has something to do with that. But I'm definitely at a crossroads, I feel like, in my life. And one of the things I'm leaning heavily on right now is my why and my purpose. And I'm so grateful that I did this work years and years ago because I can go back to that and say, okay, yes, that definitely still rings true for me. How would that play out in something else, in a different way? What would that look like? Asking myself those questions. But I want to give you a really quick example because one of my coaching students is doing a fantastic job. We work one-on-one and we're working, I think it's been about a month or so that we've been working together. And she really did a great job on this purpose and this why work. And then she had this networking event to go to. And I was like, okay, this is a fantastic opportunity for us to create a really killer elevator pitch and sort of like short mission statement that you could lead into when you're talking to other people at this networking event. Because nobody wants to just hear, I'm a photographer. Everybody's going to ask you what you do. But the idea of your elevator pitch is that you want people to lean in and go, oh, tell me more. And it's really funny because we just had a coaching call and she said that's exactly what happened. She's like, someone actually said, oh, tell me more. And I was like, that's perfect. So what we sort of did, she took her why and her purpose work, and she came up with this sort of like little blurb. Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I specialize in transforming people's moments into empowering visual stories. I'm a dedicated full-service photographer, and my passion lies in helping individuals and businesses reveal their true worth and potential. Through my photography, I capture the essence of your journey, your determination, spirit, and authenticity that propels you forward. From headshots to branding to family life, I love photographing people. I own blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's just a really quick example of how you can take your purpose and your why and put it into a really, really impactful elevator pitch, mission statement. And then you can take that and you can use that everywhere on your copy, in your website, on your social, in your captions. Everything becomes so much more cohesive because you're coming from an organic place and you're not just pulling stuff out of your head on the daily. You're coming from a very true place of clarity. All right, let's talk about the mental and physical aspects. And we touched on that a little bit. And I kind of went into a little bit of fixing that when I discussed it earlier. And I won't spend a lot of time on this because, like I said, I am not a medical or a mental health professional. However, the fix for this is you digging deeper. The fix for this is you not stopping looking for answers. If you've got some physical stuff, like I said, the joint pain, frozen shoulder is actually a symptom of menopause. Like I didn't even know that until a couple of years ago. And a lot of our Western doctors, some of them are great and we've come a long way with it, but sometimes you do need to seek out a functional doc to help you. But there's so many resources. Like I said, we've never lived in a time of so many resources like we are living through right now. You can find what you need online. You don't have to physically go to someone's office anymore. You can find a really amazing functional doc online and you can do telehealth, and your insurance probably won't cover it. So there is a big impact on cost for sure. And I get that that is a very prohibitive for a lot of people, but do what you can with what you have. At least go down the rabbit hole of searching for yourself and be open to the idea that yes, there is help out there for me, and I'm not going to stop until I come up with some answers. Because we get one body, right? In this life, I don't, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, and I do, I'm talking about this life. I'm talking about this body. You only get one chance. And as I entered perimenopause and then menopause, my body literally started revolting against me. It was like all of a sudden, we always make these jokes about age and getting older and how things hurt and, our knees and this, that, and the other. But I was headed straight for a knee replacement, a double knee replacement. And I knew I had to do something. And I've tried, like I said, hormone replacement and thyroid supplementation and all of these different things. But I couldn't figure out why I was continuing to gain weight. That was a really big factor for me. Over the years, I've always been, prior to having twins, I was always a small person. All right. And after the twins, things really changed. My body started doing very different things. I started responding very differently to exercise and to the food that I was eating. And no matter what I did over the years, over the next 20 years, because my twin's going to be 23 in October, over the next 20 years, nothing that I did seemed to make a difference. In fact, I was even keeping a food journal. I was working out with a trainer for a year and a half. And nobody could really tell me, they would look at what I was eating. And even my doctor, my endocrinologist in particular, was like, yeah, none of this makes sense. You're not eating enough. You're in a calorie deficit, doing all of these things. And I was gaining weight. And I was so frustrated because, again, my knees were completely giving out. My body was giving out. And I'm in my early 50s. I'm not doing that. I had to get to a place where I was like, I don't care what I need to do, but I got to do something. And I'm not going to stop looking until I find something that's going to work. And this is not about, let me just give you a little side note here. This is not a speech about, trying to be perfect and, trying to be skinny and all of that stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I have definitely struggled with weight since I had the twins. But where I got to with all of this was so much more scary, because then it started affecting my health. My blood work wasn't great. I was pre-diabetic, and it didn't matter what I was putting into my body, which didn't seem possible. So then there's this whole thing of, well, I feel crazy now because no one's believing me, even though I have it on paper. People just look at you like, sure, you're not eating crap. Sure, because they just don't believe you. And I have to tell you that nothing felt more frustrating and lonely than that feeling. So if it wasn't for my doctor, my endocrinologist, believing me and finally helping me get medication and supplements that actually helped me lose weight and feel better, I'd still be in that place. I'm not saying that, and this is not, by the way, this is not going to lead into, what I did to lose 60 pounds, because I did. I lost 60 pounds in the last year. I've spoken about it privately with anybody who messages me. I'm just not going to do a weight loss discussion right now, because I don't want that to be the focus of my platform, if that makes sense. But I'm definitely open to chatting with you. If you want to message me and ask me about my journey, I'm happy to chat with you. And I'm not going to hide anything and tell you, oh, I just dieted and exercised. No, I took medication for this. And I'm absolutely grateful that it was available to me. Because I have not felt this good in over 20 years. My blood work is incredible. My doctor is so happy. My knee surgeon is over the moon because, he didn't want to do a full knee replacement on me in my 50s. You're too young. And he told me that with what I've done, I may never need one. And you guys, I get out of bed and I don't have any pain. I don't have any pain in my body. The inflammation that I had is gone. So I have been able to fix this insulin resistance. I've been able to fix the joint pain. I've been able to fix the inflammation, and everything is just exponentially better. So the bottom line is, if you feel like something's wrong, if you've got an intuition that something's going on physically or mentally or both, go ahead and dig deeper, because your health is something you can't get back. And I am a really big believer that our businesses are direct reflections of how we feel. So if we're not feeling well, whether it's physical or mentally or spiritually or anything, it's going to reflect in our business. So we might as well get to the root of it. Okay. And so number 5, what if the reason why you're feeling uninspired is because you just really kind of lost your passion for what you're doing? What if you just don't want to do what you're doing? Okay. What if? Is that really the worst thing that could be happening? Maybe there's something else. Maybe there's something bigger, better, and maybe not even in the same genre or niche or whatever. Maybe it is time to pivot. Maybe it is time to do something different, right? As a creative, you're probably pretty multifaceted. You probably have a lot of interests. And so we also have kind of been sold this thing where we're supposed to pick something and then do that for the rest of our lives. Sorry, but I don't really fit into that mold. And I don't think that most of you do either. If you're listening to this podcast and you're in my world in some way, you probably don't subscribe to that line of thinking either. So is it possible that maybe it's just time for you to move on, to do something different? And maybe it's not time to completely destroy what you've built right now, but maybe that looks like selling your business. Maybe it looks like hiring other people to do some of the things you don't want to do. And maybe if you're a photographer, for instance, starting to hire associate photographers so that you can step away from the day-to-day stuff inside of the business and move on to something else. Maybe that looks like pivoting in a way that you can still use all the skills you have, but in a different niche or a completely different space. That's okay. Go back to step one, where you can daydream and you can open up to possibility, because that is going to lead you to this answer. I really believe that. But the first thing is that you just kind of have to be okay not being okay. You got to be okay with the uncertainty of, I don't really know what's next for me, but I do know that it's coming, right? And that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm feeling like, I definitely am not like leaving coaching or, anything like that. But I know that there's something else pulling at me or pulling me toward, let's say. And I'm not 100% sure what that looks like right now. And I feel like one of the reasons why I don't know is because I just haven't given myself space to open up to it. So the main thing that I'm going to be focusing on right now is to just being okay, not knowing, not forcing it, allowing myself to ask questions, stay curious, and open up to possibilities. Because I feel like if I'm in an expansive space, then I'm going to naturally draw to me that which is for me. I really believe that we are always being guided to where we ultimately want to be. It's just about noticing where we are, noticing the signs, noticing the coincidences, noticing what shows up for us day to day. And a lot of us just kind of sort of hypnotically go about our days, not paying attention to that. So it's just about being mindful. Be mindful of what shows up for you today and over the next few weeks. Be mindful about the little things in your life and be grateful for the little things in your life. It's going to keep you grounded. Okay, let's go over some takeaways before we wrap up. First of all, you're not alone. If you're feeling like this, you're not alone. I put out an email a few days ago about this very topic, and I had a lot of people respond to that email saying, thank you for this. I've definitely been feeling like this. It's nice to hear that even you are, someone who is seemingly driven, has it together, whatever, is also going through this. So I've heard this from a lot of people, and a lot of you are feeling like this. So first of all, you're not alone. Second of all, life is too short to do something that you don't love anymore. It's okay to say goodbye sometimes. What else is waiting for you? Ask yourself that. If there are mental or physical health reasons for this, dig a little deeper and make sure there aren't some logical things that you can do like medication or supplements that could possibly help. Be creative, because that in itself will breed more creativity. So if you find yourself stuck, go do something creative just for you. Not for money, not for clients, just for you. And lastly, give yourself a break. You might just need some space to see what percolates, what comes to the surface. In any case, I hope this episode was helpful for you. If so, I'd love to hear from you. I always want to hear your feedback. Go ahead and hit me up at Renee Bowen on Instagram. Shoot me a DM or send me an email at renee@reneebowen.com. All the information that you need is in the show notes, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, truly. I also always love seeing your reviews, and there's a new way that you can do that now. You just go to Rate This Podcast, RATE, thispodcast.com/Renee Bowen, and you can leave a review very easily by going to that link. So I would love for you guys to do that. And I want to read one of our recent reviews right now. This one comes to us from Ozella V. And she says, I am so happy to see Renee doing a podcast. I've been following Renee on Instagram for a couple of years now, as well as taking a class or two from her. If you're seeking a coach for your photography business, you're in luck. Renee brings encouragement as well as giving solid information on how to run a successful photography business. I look forward to listening to her podcast as I continue to grow my business. Thank you so much. I love hearing from you guys. Again, go to ratethispodcast.com/Renee Bowen and leave us a review there. Every so often, I'm going to pick one to feature. And when I do, I'll send you a little surprise. Thank you so much, guys. Have a really amazing rest of your week. I look forward to chatting with you again soon.